Hello, everyone, and welcome to Around South Jersey. My special guest today is Dr. Jim Beebe from the Millville Chiropractic Center. Dr. Beebe, how are you?
I'm great.
You've never had a bad day.
I'm getting better every minute.
Yeah, I know, you're pretty darn good. So that's pretty, yeah, it's been interesting for any of you who've had the opportunity to go to the Millville Chiropractic Center. It's second to none. It's phenomenal. Jim, let's talk a little bit about your associates that are with you at the center.
We have fantastic staff, and our doctors are the greatest. In fact, I think we've been 18 years voted best of the best in the Daily Journal.
Congratulations. That's
and
great.
So thank you. But my partner is Dr. Russell Doyle. He's been with me since 1990. So been a long time.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
He's kind of like the brother I never had.
That's nice.
I was a single child, so I'm perfect.
Yeah, that's why you're so good.
That's
now
it. That's it. His daughter-in-law, Dr. Brooke Doyle. We just call her Dr. Brooke, so it's not confusing in the office.
Yep.
And she's been with us a while now, and she does a great job. She sees a lot of babies, a lot of infants. A lot of people don't know chiropractic plays a role in their health too, but anything from croup,
Wow, no kidding.
to wow. and all the variety of childhood related diseases. And again, it's great to have a female chiropractor in the office to offer those services, and also to anybody else who wants it. She's very good. Dr. John Fresh basically took over my end of the patient load when I stopped seeing patients, and he's fantastic.
He is.
I've been blessed, to have found him, and it was one of those happenstance things. I needed a hip replacement.
Oh my goodness.
And this was several years ago, and there are services that will have a coverage doctor come in, and I did some interviews, and I really just wasn't kind of happy with kind of some of the people that I interviewed, and a fellow by the name of Pat Arnold, a chiropractor down in Northfield, who I've known for years. He grew up in Vineland.
Oh, no kidding.
And but he's practiced down there all his practice life. Anyway, he calls me up and he was asking me a question, and I said, "Hey, before you go," I said, "I'm looking for somebody who can come in and cover me for the time I'm going to be rehabbing for this hip." He said, "I know the guy," and I went, "Great." He says, "He'll call you in an hour."
Wow.
And I said, "Great, Pat." And John called, and we set up an appointment, and he came up and saw the office, and we interviewed him. And so he covered virtually for 3 months during rehab. And then I went out, and unfortunately, I had to actually have another major surgery on my foot and ankle. And the doc told me, "You're going to be out 6 months." So, and that was a few years after that. And I called John, and Dr. Fresh came in, and he said, "I'll be glad to." And before the 6 months was up, I said, "I think we need to talk about making this more permanent." And he's been with us now for almost 10 years.
Has it been that long?
Yes,
Wow.
it's been that long. I mean, counting all the time.
Right.
So
Wow.
he's great. He's a blessing. And he's really good with the patients. He's great with what he does. All our chiropractors are very good.
Yeah, and I've never been to Dr. Brooke, but to Dr. Doyle, actually, and you, and love John Fresh. I wondered how I got him, because I was your patient.
Yeah,
I got
that's
switched
exactly
over.
how
Folks,
that works.
Let me tell you something. Dr. Fresh is phenomenal. You'll love him. He's, as Jim said, he's got a great personality, and does a wonderful job with the chiropractic part of it.
Excellent.
And of course, Dr. Doyle's always been very good too. And Dr. Brooke, I haven't had her, but she's taking care of the little ones. I'm too old.
Yeah, well, no, she takes care of all patients at all ages.
No, I know she does.
But she has a rather large practice in both ladies and also the infants.
Wait.
Of course, it's almost moms will bring the kids in, and of all ages. I'm talking about from a couple of weeks, right on up through pediatric ages. But when they see how good Dr. Brooke is and good with the babies, they become patients. So it's kind of a rollover there.
That's great. Well, it's wonderful because you got that variety. You've got everything you need to have. Jim, let's start back. I'd actually like to talk about you being the only child And growing up, did you grow up at Union Lake? Or?
Actually, that was my grandparents.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, that was the place to be. I mean,
Oh, my
when
God,
when you're a kid,
Yeah.
they were right on the lake.
Yes.
My grandmother ran a little rowboat rental, not even a motorized, but
no
a rowboat rental for fishermen.
Oh, okay.
And their nearest competitor was the Dixes down at the park.
Aunt Becky.
Aunt Becky, absolutely. And so, I mean, but I virtually lived up there during the summer.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because I helped her, and she came from a farming family. She taught me how to grow the garden and work in there and get the fishermen out.
Oh, that's cool.
Of course, I didn't, fishermen, I'd always run to meet the boats, And I remember, Jim, I couldn't even carry both oars. I was so small.
Wow.
That's hard to believe the size I am today.
Yeah.
But I could only carry one oar. So she would say, okay, they're going to take boat number 8. Well, she had them all organized, but I could only carry one oar and run down, and I had to run back and get another oar. But, when the fishermen came in, a lot of times they wanted to tip me.
Oh, that's nice.
That was very nice.
Yeah.
But you know what I wanted? I wanted their bait.
So
I could go fishing after they left.
I got
so
you.
whether they
So
were
the
night
bait was
crawlers,
left over.
whether they were minnows, but oh yeah, that was that. So I'd always stare at them. The guy would pull maybe a dollar bill out, and I'd stare. I said, "Do you want this?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I do, but I really like those, those leftover night crawlers, so I can go fishing." And so the return customers would know that all the time, and I think some of them even bought extra bait so they could leave it for me. So it was nice, but it was a beautiful place. I mean, you had the lake.
Yeah.
You'd swim in the afternoon.
Let me ask you. Speaking of swimming, did you have Axel and Irene? Axel Johnson. That's who taught me how to swim in the lake.
I did not.
Oh, okay.
But but we had that Beebe tradition on the lake. So I mean, there were certain things I could not do unless I could swim out. There was an actual pipe out in the lake. Wasn't very far, but that was the first pipe.
I see.
And you had to, my grandfather's rules.
Okay.
You had to be able, doggy paddle, of course.
Yeah, right.
You had to be able to go out and around that pipe and come back in, and then he would allow you to take a boat out yourself.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah. And then you could go a little further. Of course, you had to stay within eyesight, but you could go a little further. You could go out a little further and swim back.
That's neat.
So, but that was our little measurement of our efficiency in the boat. So, and in swimming. But yeah, I mean, kids. I mean, it was swimming every afternoon, and and tried to do the work in the mornings and evenings because back then, Jim, there was no such thing as like an air conditioner.
No, that's right. You're right.
I mean, there were air conditioners,
not
but
many.
our family was pretty
mine
poor.
either. Mine didn't have any either.
So we didn't grow up that way. So, but always a little breeze on the lake,
Yeah.
as you know too, and so it was nice.
Yeah.
It was a good place
Well,
to be.
and it's interesting. What a gem. I mean, I live about a block away from the lake now, but I love going down to the sailing club. And it's interesting, during COVID, one of the things, living alone, it was like, really tough. But I would go down and sit on the deck at the lake, 6 feet apart, we're open air, weren't any danger, and talk to all my friends that would come down there. So that was sort of a saving grace for me during COVID. And
Sure.
I still enjoy it and still remember and go down there. In fact, Mike DePalma is the, what do you call it, the Commodore now?
Yeah.
Is super young fellow with DePalma Real Estate and that type of thing. But I know what. Another thing happened when I got to be mayor, when I was running for mayor or running for city commission. Well, you could have been the mayor if you ever ran. Anyway, the Gladys McGraw, you knew Gladys.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
What a sweetheart. And she was in the third ward.
As
there
we
in
all
Columbia
called her
Avenue.
affectionately Sissy.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
She was the sister to
Many.
everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Just talked about Jimmy.
Yeah,
Jimmy
exactly.
Her brother.
Exactly.
But she was so instrumental in the third ward community leader, whatever you want to call it. And she said to me, "Jim, you got to make me a promise." I said, "What's that?" She said, "Open the lake for the kids." She said, "These kids are 2-3 blocks away. They don't have swimming pools, blah, blah, blah." So we did. We were able to open it up and get, people to teach swimming instruction with Red Cross and all that kind of stuff. And we had it open most of the time. I think that I was the mayor, and then eventually it went by the wayside. But it's a natural resource that we have that, you and I were lucky to grow up there. And, I went to Aunt Becky's and I swam. Like I said, Axel and Irene Johnson were the two people that taught me to swim. It was a Red Cross program that they had, and that was something that was fun. But going, all right. So where did you grow up? Where were your parents?
Between 8th and 9th on Mulberry.
Okay. So then you went to Culver School?
I went to, my kindergarten, I went to Cente school. I don't know why, but.
Oh, well, you had to see Miss Gerlach. Did you know Miss Gerlach?
Get
the keys out and bang on the window?
Did I know her? We got to know each other pretty well.
I'm sure you probably did.
But then we first through sixth, I was over in Culver.
Okay.
And
who was your favorite teacher at Culver?
Oh my goodness, I had so many.
Yeah, there were a lot of.
I had so many.
Yeah. Did
they
you know?
They were all good teachers.
Did you know Ann Daly?
Yeah.
She's my cousin.
Sure. Oh, okay.
This is a funny story about Culver School. Ann had a plane, so she would take some of the students, their parents let them up in the plane. But anyway, as you know, at Culver School, you went home for lunch.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't. There was no cafeteria. So one Friday, I went in for Miss Robinson. She taught 6th grade.
6th grade.
And she would apparently take a couple days once a year and go get totally checked out, go to the hospital in Philadelphia or something like that. So I had the pleasure of substituting for her.
Right.
And I started substituting at 17 at Wood School. Actually.
Did you?
Yeah, honest to God. But I was 18 when I was at Culver. So Ann Daly said to me, before I got ready to go in the classroom, she said, "Jim, come here a minute." I said, "Yeah, what's that?" She said, "Now look, something's going to happen when you go in the classroom. It's not bad, don't get upset, but something different is going to happen to you." So I don't know if you had this happen when you, as a kid. I walk in the classroom, and all of a sudden the kids all get up and they roll up fruit.
Fruit
roll. You knew about that.
Yeah.
And I thought, what is this? She said, that means they like you.
Well, that's a good thing.
From a fruit roll to get elected to mayor of Millville.
Sure, there you go. You got your start right there.
That's right. Yeah, my first 10 voters. But you're right. There are a lot of really good teachers at Culver School. That's for sure. And Miss Gerlach was principal at both schools, and I was substitute teacher. And I was scared of her. Let alone the kids being scared of her. She was tough.
The first parent night, go back to school night, as they call them now, I think.
Yep.
That I remember my father going to. Now this is a great story. I always, when her name comes up, I always tell this. My father grabbed me up by my ear. Drug me over to Mrs. because it was always in the fall, and it was in warm weather, so they always had a little activity on the playground in the back. He drags me over to Miss Gerlach, and this I had no idea. He goes, "Miss Gerlach," and my father looked like maybe a shy, and he wasn't shy, a second grader.
Huh.
He kind of looked down at the ground, and he said, "Miss Gerlach," he said, "this is my son. And if he does anything out of line," he says, "you can do anything you want to."
Oh, jeez.
And then you call me, because when he gets home, he'll get the rest of it.
Same thing.
and she said, and she called my father Albert. Nobody really, even in the family, he was a junior, so everybody, all the family and a lot of friends called him Junior.
Oh, yeah.
So she said, "Albert, I appreciate you coming over here." And she says, "I do remember you." And on the way home, my father told me she was the principal of Wood School when he went through grammar school.
Wow.
So it was Miss Gerlach was his principal, and then she was my principal. And so for a long time, I mind my P's and Q's. That's what I can just say.
No wonder you're so well.
Yeah, that's
So after, at your age, I guess after you finished Culver, you went to Bacon for 7th and 8th grade?
No, I missed Bacon.
Oh,
We
so you
went right to the
over-
Memorial.
Okay. So I taught at Memorial. Do you remember your 7th grade teacher at Memorial? There were two, actually. You had
two.
math,
You had
science,
math and
social
science. Yeah.
studies, yeah.
And my 7th grade teacher, I guess I can't remember him. My 8th grade teacher was, one of them was a guy named Riggle.
Oh, yeah, I do remember it.
Paul Riggle.
Yep.
And
He was pretty tough.
he was very tough. And, but I learned a lot from him.
That's good.
There's only two ways. You either get motivated to learn or you're afraid. And, I think I was afraid, but towards the end of the year, I got motivated.
That's good.
And he was a big history guy, and I
That's
kind of
great.
liked some history.
Yeah.
and it was good. But my first time, I'm telling a story, and we're going to go around in circles here, but Gladys, Sissy, Rhubarb,
right.
first day of 8th grade. Now you got lockers.
Yes,
so
that's
you're
right.
really
Yeah.
you're right up against the locker, and
Yeah.
you got a new combination. They give you the locker
exactly,
number,
right.
and you're
Yeah.
I'm focusing, and Gladys walks by me, and pushes the top of my head, so I bang off the locker. Right. Well, I turn around, and she just kept walking, and I knew I couldn't. I was going to just tap her and hit her. Right. I couldn't reach her. She was walking so fast, so I actually ended up kicking her.
Ooh.
Well, Mr. who I didn't even know that I had him, comes by and grabs me up and says, "Do you treat all young ladies like that?" I mean, not knowing what was going on.
Yeah.
And so I had to really kowtow and explain everything. And, who was that? He said, well, we call her sis. She treats everybody, like we're her brother. So, but that's how I first met him. And but I remember you substituting in music class at Memorial. And that had to be a 7th or 8th grade thing for me.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, true. It was interesting.
That was Mrs. McCrinsky, I think.
Yes, right. Yes, that's right. I do remember going in for her. That was upstairs in the one corner. It was, for me, I graduated I went to St. Mary's, so I didn't go to kindergarten. So I was 16 my senior year. December of my senior year, I turned 17. And then in June of, right after I graduated, a week after I graduated, I went to Glassboro. And I took 9 credits because I was going to go summers and nights and work. And after I took the 9 credits, Ed McCrinsky was friends with a family, and he said something to my mother and father, "What's Jim going to do?" Well, he's going to college to be a teacher. And he ended up finding out I had 9 credits. That's all he needed was 6, actually. I had 9, so I was way up there. The substitute, well, he put me in Joan Suey Cooper. She was the first student I had. This is cute, too, because this was at Wood School for Miss Baumhoff, was who I substituted for the first time. I'm 17, and Jimmy, I didn't know what I was doing. I took this chalk like you would a pen and started writing, squeaking on the blackboard. And Joan says, "Mr. Quinn, if you turn it this way." I said, "Okay, thank you." So I'm learning from the kids, as it was on. But what a wonderful time I had, and all the great teachers I got to meet, and students were super. And at that time, Bacon School was still in play, 7th and 8th grade. On my 18th birthday, which was December, I taught girls phys ed. I got it called the Gordon Scargill. You probably didn't know him because you were at the junior high, but Gordon was the phys ed teacher at Bacon School. So for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I got Jim, Joe, John, all stuff. I didn't think of anything. Wednesday afternoon, all of a sudden, I got the girls. Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, and Friday. This is a little weird. But they were good kids. They really were.
Right.
And I was so many wonderful teachers and kids, and you love people too.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what's wonderful, isn't it, to have that.
And you beat me, though, because I followed in your footsteps a few years after. One semester at Glassboro, and I had, 9 or 12. I think I had 12 credits. Yeah. And I roomed with Jack Zellers.
Oh, no kidding.
And his mom was involved with the school to arrange the substitutes.
Oh, super.
And he told me about it. He says, "Well, arrange your next semester." And so I would take a day off because I lived up in Glassboro.
Okay.
Friday or a
campus,
Monday.
Right.
And so I was only 18.
Oh,
you were 16, but I was
17.
18 when I was
17.
substituting. And
that's fantastic.
And she told me, she goes, "Can you handle?" They were desperate for high school, and I said, "Don't start me in high school."
Yeah, that's it. Me too.
Yeah, because I just graduated.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I did some elementary, and then she said, "We are so desperate for male substitutes. Can you? I said, "Look, how about down in the shop area?" Because
right.
And I did that. And hey, back then we thought that was great money. Right?
I made $15 a day.
Yeah, I think I was 20.
Yes,
I
you're younger.
So we thought it was great, though.
Yeah, I had special ed. I had all things that they couldn't get anybody else to take,
right.
Which is understandable. And it was hard to get teachers in those days and all that. We're talking with Dr. Jim Beebe about his wonderful life, and we got lots more to talk about. So don't leave us. We'll be back right after these messages.
Thunderbolt Area Federal Credit Union is your hometown team for banking. We offer banking which is small town focused and customer based. We know you and we are for you. Thunderbolt Area Federal Credit Union is a nonprofit and federally insured. Solid as a Thunderbolt airplane, we are your team. Thunderbolt Area Federal Credit Union, 1601 Cedar Street.
Hi, I'm Bob Millard, President of Thunderbolt Area Federal Credit Union. Come see us and experience banking as it used to be.
Many people treat their health like a game. With Complete Care Health Network, it's easy to start your healthcare journey. Just select from our specialties and schedule online, by phone, or on our app. Our entire team communicates with one another, so everyone works together on your total health. Plus, we make it even easier with all of these additional benefits. Level up your health with us. Complete Care Health Network. No games, just great health care for everyone.
Imagine living without pain. For over 35 years, doctors Beebe and Doyle have helped thousands of people find relief from all types of pain. Millville Chiropractic Center has 4 doctors on staff specializing in hands-on or light-touch, drug-free pain relief methods. The examination, x-rays, therapies, and adjustments are all performed at one location. Schedule a consultation today. Enjoy life without pain and discomfort. Millville Chiropractic Center, the area's #1 pain relief center.
More than a century ago, General Tire was born, right here in America. Since then, we've made a name for ourselves by making tires you can depend on. Tires built to handle any road this country can throw at them, and relied on by every kind of driver. So you know that no matter where life takes you, with General Tire, anywhere is possible.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. My special guest is Dr. Jim Beebe, the Millville Chiropractic Center, where everybody goes. What's it? Any attention, energy, focus? Is that, my head's blocking. It flows. There it is. Where attention goes, energy flows. Jimmy, who does those signs? They are so good.
Well,
you got to read them every day.
The staff puts them up, but we had kind of agreed. We could work off a list. We've been doing it for so many years, but something motivational and positive.
I always enjoy. I go by there every day, and I enjoy reading the positive things.
We just started it. When we ordered that sign, to have that kind of reader board.
Yeah. And
we just said, well, we're just going to put up some positive, motivational kind of sayings, and it's not all. We mix it up with holidays and things, and it was we were just doing it for maybe a month, and one of my receptionists came back and between patients, and she said, there's a lady out here would like to meet you and talk to you. She's not a patient or anything. I said, well, fine, come on. So at that time she worked at Prudential,
sure.
up the street.
Uh-huh.
And she came in, and I said, have a seat. I said, well, how can I help you? And she said, I had to stop on the way home from work. And she said, I lost my husband a month ago.
Oh, that's a shame.
And there's always one saying on one side and a different one on the other. And she drove up High Street to go to work and drove back.
Right.
And she said, this helped me through my roughest times.
Oh, that's nice.
And she said, when I would get to work, I would write it down.
Wow.
And I would put it on my desk and read it. And when I came home, I would write that one down.
Nice.
And I would read that in the evening or, after dinner. And she said that made a big difference in my life.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I said, I'll never stop doing it.
Oh, that's
because
what a great
just
story.
because of how it touched somebody's life.
Yeah.
And we put up some funny things too.
Oh, I do. I chuckle sometimes. They're fun.
So it's to have fun with, but it is a way that I understand. At one time when I was very young, Jim, I thought I could treat everybody in Millville, but I realized that there's more people than I can treat. So
Yeah, but I'll bet
this
you
is-
did 90%
Well,
of them.
yeah, we got a lot, and we're very grateful, and that's been my mission in life, is to help people. And this is just another way that you could maybe reach
Yeah,
out and help
that's
people.
a wonderful
Or like you
story.
said,
Yeah.
you ride by and you chuckle a little
Yeah,
bit. You know?
it is. It's cute.
Because we need more laughter in
We
life,
do.
that's for sure.
Now, I want to go back to after junior high. Of course, you went to the new Millville High School, right?
Yes.
It had been open by then.
So 7th, 8th, and 9th at that time at Memorial,
right. Yep.
and then we went out to the senior high.
So the big thing we're going to talk about is what a star this guy was on the football team. So when did you start playing football?
Actually, I 7th grade. There was an intramural teams at 7th and 8th
I see.
grade.
Oh, that's
so
good.
I started playing intramural football, organized
Right,
football
yes,
then.
right.
And then, of course, the 9th grade had a freshman team.
Right.
And so Al Caldwell,
I remember Al well. Great guy.
bless him, great
Yes,
guy.
he was.
And a guy by the name of Raines.
Yeah, Paul Raines.
Paul Raines.
Yes, I remember him too.
Were the
St. Paul.
coaches. And actually, an assistant coach my freshman year was Eddie Andrews.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he was one of the assistants, and I think it was a full,
move up.
just truly volunteer motion.
Wow.
Like a lot of coaches, but yeah, it's the first time I met Ed Andrews, and then when went out to the senior high, I believe he moved out there and was assistant coach out there
Yeah.
for many years too.
So you played offensive tackle?
Offensive tackle.
But
I played both ways, back in the early, earlier years, but
Right.
ended up at an offensive tackle position.
Yeah, but where he was a superstar. Tell him what you starred in.
I was a place kicker.
Yes, you
And,
were one of the best Millville's ever had, folks. I got to tell you that.
And,
I did the games. I watched it.
And that was by a freak kind of accident. I
wondered how
broke,
you got to that.
Well, freshman year, I broke a bone in my, hand and
Okay.
finger, and so unfortunately now in these days
They
they
tape
would
it up.
they would they have special pads for
I
it,
see.
and you could play, especially being an offensive
Yeah,
tackle.
yeah.
Back then it was, oh no, you got a broken bone and you just didn't play. But I went to practice every day, so I did non-contact practices, but I couldn't play in the game. And so when they started hitting in scrimmages, I looked for something to do. And I went and got the ball bag and, of course, the kickoff tee, and I went out on the field, and Wheaton Field, and I started just playing around, kicking. And I said, I'm not too bad at this. And, so that it gave me like, 3 to 4 weeks to kind of work at that. And then I got the bug. I said, well, I wonder how, work the angles and work the distance. And,
that's cool.
I said, this is okay. And I shared that with my father. And I said, because I was kicking off a kickoff tee, I said, I really need somebody to be a holder.
Yeah, right.
So get the more realistic approach. And he said, fine, after work, I'll do it.
That was
So he used to come up and do it. And then my best friend was Bobby Hawes.
Oh, God, I love that guy. Is he not? He's almost as good as you. That
Almost.
guy is super.
In fact, I think
He
he's
really-
probably better.
He's
But-
right there with you. He is super.
He was a long snapper for the
Oh,
team.
okay.
So, it was no big deal. I mean, I said, Bob, I'd like, and I get the timing, because timing in place kicking
It's
is
big,
everything.
yeah.
And so he would go up, with us every night. Of course, I had a little workout gym. I was a rebel back then. Nobody believed in weightlifting.
Oh, wow.
But I was a weightlifter.
Oh, wow.
And who got me started with that was Bob Riley.
Yeah,
Right
he
up
was
the
my
street.
algebra coach,
Oh, he
teacher,
was
rather, yeah.
super
Oh, that's
guy.
right, you were on A Street.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would lift with him in the winter, but I only had like a little kind of a shed next to the garage, unheated and everything. And in the summers, we would go over there. So Bob would come over and lift with me, and then we'd go up and kick the football.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what's nice, too? I just thought about it. You're only a couple blocks away from the field.
Yeah, not
'Cause
far.
7th and Broad is where the field is, so that made it nice. You could walk
Oh,
there.
sure.
I didn't realize Bob was your long snapper. No wonder you guys are such great
Yeah.
friends.
Well, I mean, I was either always over his house or he was always over my house.
That's
You
nice.
know?
Yeah.
So,
And Sharon's Bob's sister.
Sister,
Because
yes.
Sharon went to school with me, Sharon Giffredi.
Giffredi,
Right.
mhm.
And she was a sweetheart. Really nice person. I was saying to Jim before we went on the air about, I may have said it on the air, but when I went to St. Mary's, there were 50 kids I was the smallest class, 50 kids in my class.
Wow.
My sister was in first grade when I was in eighth grade. She had 80 in her class. I mean, God bless the nuns. But we were just talking about how names, like my grandson is Carter, and another kid I just met, Connor. You don't hear James, William, Joseph, Thomas, that type of stuff anymore. They're going to the more modern names.
Right.
But it's funny, too, Jim. Like during the time I was calling play-by-play on the radio, the toughest thing were maybe a Ukrainian or a Polish or a Russian name.
Right.
Now some of the kids' first names, like Latzir, is not a normal first name.
Oh, no.
But what a heck of a football player that kid is.
Oh, absolutely.
He's done really well.
Absolutely. He's phenomenal.
So as I guess you would just keep practicing, and then you were the place kicker for all years you were there?
Yeah, I played varsity basically 10th, 11th, 12th.
All right.
And so, I was place kicker for the time I was there. So.
Do you know how many kicks, how many
at one time, Jim, I held 4 records, and now I'm going to be stretched to try to remember. I had most in a career, most in a year, most consecutive.
Wow.
And I believe I had the longest field goal at one time.
I was going to ask you about that, Jim, the field goals.
All of them been broke except for the I had most in one game.
Okay.
And that was only because we had a fantastic team.
They scored a lot
In
of touchdowns.
'68, we scored a lot of touchdowns, 76-6.
Wow.
As you do the math, it could have
Yeah.
been 77. I missed one. But I
Wow.
kicked 10 in one
That-
game, and that's still in the
holy
record
cow.
book, as far as I know.
Wow.
But you had to have the team in order to, to score the points, score the touchdowns, to do that. So
Actually,
was
I'm
good.
trying. 1969 is when I started doing the Millville football games with Vic Ziegler. I was the color commentator. So that would have been your
That would have been my senior year.
Senior year. Okay, so that's why I remember you so vividly. I would go to the games
Right.
as a fan, but started doing them in '69, and it was interesting. Jim Hurley did your games on the radio. Well, no, Vic Ziegler did some. Vic replaced Jim, so
Right.
He may not if that's right, that overlap. But I always admired Jim Hurley, everything he did for all of us. He was super
Absolutely. He absolutely represented his constituents.
Yeah, he
I
did.
think he did.
Yeah.
He really
Yeah.
was good.
Well, I tell you, as we've talked about, I mean, Jim and I could talk about all these wonderful people that we know, have known, and all that kind of stuff. Joyce Vanneman loved you. I mean, everybody loved Joyce Vanneman. Boy, that's something now, though, that's sad. There's no newspaper, really.
I know.
It's, and in fact, thank God for Facebook, because a lot of times, I just saw where, unfortunately, my good friend and lawyer, Bill Riley, died. I would have not known that if it wasn't for Facebook,
I actually, I had kind of heard it, but I got that confirmed last night where we were.
Oh, okay. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's like, tough to get. I do buy the online edition, but it's not a lot of Millville stories in there at all. And what I end up doing at my age, I go look at the obits.
Right.
But Bill hasn't been in the obits of this situation so far. And we've talked about Jim's high school career. So when you finished at Millville, did you go to Glassboro?
I went to Glassboro.
Okay.
And I was injured before the season actually started.
That's
It was
a shame.
kind of one of those career-ending
Yeah.
things. And I stayed at Glassboro for, basically 2 years. I was a health and phys ed major,
Oh, okay.
so I was going to be a
teacher, health phys ed teacher.
health phys ed teacher, and I was home playing softball at the Union Lake.
Yeah, I remember those days.
And we played for John's Bar.
That was a good team. Yeah.
And we had 2 families and a couple stragglers. Well, I was one of the stragglers because the Nays
Yes.
and the Joneses.
Yeah, they lived a block from John.
Right.
The Nays right down the street, and the Joneses around the corner.
And there was
families, too.
10 in one family
Yeah.
and 9 in the other or
yeah.
something.
Super people.
So I was like one of the only 2 or 3 outsiders that played on the team, and it was I wasn't a great softball player, but I was a pretty good place hitter, and I tried to stretch this solid double into a triple, and I was running around second base, and about my second stride off second base, my hamstring popped.
Oh, no.
Now, the good part of the story is I made it to third safe. The bad part is it really popped. Well, who'd he go to? Well, all our football career, we went to Joe Jones, the chiropractor on 2nd Street.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yes.
And so I went the next night, and he took care of the football athletes, never charged them, and I wasn't expecting that because now I'm out of high school.
Yeah.
And I called, and they said, well, you just come in, at the end of the evening, and we'll take care of you. And Joe Jones asked me a question, not after he got the history of why I was there. What are you doing? I said, well, I'm going to Glassboro. I'm going to be a health phys ed major. And he goes, huh? That's good. So what classes do you like? What was your favorite class? And I said, well, I just finished the spring semester, and I said, we had prevention and treatment of athletic injuries. And he said, yeah, what'd you like about that? Well, I was working with the body, and, So he gives me a pamphlet about chiropractic, little trifold pamphlet. Said, read that and come back, 2 days. Came back in 2 days, and was getting better a little bit, and he treated me again, and he said, "Did you read the pamphlet?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Got any questions?" I said, "Yeah, I got a couple." So I asked him, he says, "Good." He answered the questions. Now he gives me a little booklet, maybe like a 12-page little booklet about chiropractic.
He's easing you into it.
Oh, that's what he did. And the next time he gave me a book, a paperback book. And I said, well, when I came back from that, I said, I got a lot of questions now. And he said, well, make sure when you set your next appointment, you come in at the very end, and I'll spend as much time with you as you want.
Oh, that's nice.
And by the time I left there, I knew the direction I was going in.
And what chiropractic school, college you go to?
Actually, it was where Joe Jones went in St. Louis, Logan University, Chiropractic University.
That,
And so I started contacting back, we age ourselves, right? You either called them on a phone, a landline phone, or you wrote a handwritten letter. Right. So we started communicating that way, and I was working summers at Wheaton's, and Wheaton Tubing, as a matter of fact, they treated me so good out there, and they shut down in the summer, and they said, look, we can still use you, but we're laying off the production. We're not going to have production. We're going to clean. I said, do you think I could take like 4 days off? I want to go to St. Louis and see the school. And the guy, said, yeah, absolutely. The big boss said, go, just go. Drove out, and that was the adventure, and I was hooked by the time I came back. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'd forgotten about that. So after I guess you enrolled at Logan, obviously, that's why you're a chiropractor.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then how long did that take, Jim, before you come back, and then you partner with Dr. Jones? Or?
Yeah, you in chiropractic schools, basically you go through all your classroom, but you, instead of being a intern, like most people understand it, interns at Spear up here, they're a big teaching school. We're called externs, and you can do your clinicals. Basically, you go to school until like 2 o'clock, and then your clinicals are from like 3 o'clock till 9 o'clock.
Oh, that's great.
And so you can do it kind of simultaneously. So it's not an after-the-fact thing. So you're still hands-on and learning that. So when I came back, actually, Millville was the last place I was going to come.
Oh, now
at one time,
you led orange and blue, man.
I know, but at one time I wouldn't, and I took some other state boards, and I came very close to going to North Carolina.
Well, it's a nice state.
A
Taxes
beautiful state.
are low.
Beautiful
that's for
state.
Sure.
And I was on a semester break, and I spent a couple days with a chiropractor near Asheville, and. Stayed right with. He said, "You got to stay right here in the house." And
that's nice.
And I went to work with him, for a couple of days, and we started talking pretty serious. And then I wanted to come home because this was my home. Yeah. So I had a few more days off on that kind of break, semester break, and of course I stopped in to see Dr. Jones, and he asked me what was going on. I told him the story, and he goes, "Well, why don't you come back here?" And so we talked. And so by the time that break was over, then I was,
What
I
year was
focused
that?
in.
When did you start with Dr. Jones?
I started with Dr. Jones in 1977.
Okay.
I graduated in January of '77, and moved back, and then of course you got to sit for state boards.
Sure.
National boards are all the same. The basic science part of the national board is the same: medical doctors, osteopathic doctors, and chiropractors. And then the clinical parts are separated into the three professions. And but I had passed all the national boards, but you had to sit for what they call a state board.
Right.
And so as I said, I already took in North Carolina. You could take the board before you graduated.
Oh, okay.
In New Jersey, you had to wait till after you graduated. But North Carolina, with their Southern hospitality,
Yeah.
I always tell this story too. The first thing the president of the board said was, "I want to welcome you to the great state of North Carolina," and we haven't even taken the test. And in New Jersey, you got about 70, I guess there were 70 or 80 people sitting for the board that time.
Right.
And we're in a hotel conference room. Everybody was supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. Everybody was there. No board members.
Oh, wow.
Now, this is pre-cell phone again.
Yeah, good point.
So we're all like getting nervous and everybody's fidgety.
Yeah.
Gee, did we come to the wrong Holiday Inn or what, Well, 8:30 came.
Oh, my God.
8:45 came.
Jeez.
Nobody. 9 o'clock came. Now, everybody's so nervous and full of
bet you.
anxiety.
I'm sure.
Because this
Just
is
take
their
this test.
your
Yeah,
life,
your
right?
life, yeah.
Running out, one payphone in the lobby. They're trying to call Trenton and see what's going on. And the examiners come in. The board comes in.
That's good.
An
hour late.
Yeah. And like nothing to it. But it was all by design to get you all full of anxiety.
I
and
see.
I always say,
Okay.
that was New Jersey. And welcome you to North Carolina. What a contrast, But, and then, so you had to sit for that. And then, of course, so I actually didn't start seeing patients until it was right around April 15th. I always associated it with tax time.
Yeah.
So by the time we got the results back and I got my official license. So, that was in 1977.
That's super. We're talking with Dr. Jim Beebe for the Millville Chiropractic Center. We'll be back to talk more with Dr. Jim right after these messages.
At Mintz Insurance, we're proud to have been serving our customers for nearly 80 years, offering 30 different insurance products for your auto, home, and business. And to help ensure that you're getting the best rates possible, we give you up to 3 quotes for every policy, so you can choose what's right for you. At Mintz, we're part of the community, local representatives, supporting events, and proud of it. It's part of who we are. Mintz Insurance. Call today and find out how we can help you save on insurance, or visit us at mintzinsurance.com.
In Cumberland County, let's recycle right. We recycle cardboard, paper, aluminum, tin, and plastics number 1 and 2. Look for the 3-arrow triangle usually on the bottom of the plastic container. The number in the center determines the plastic number. Remember to recycle only number 1 and 2 plastics. Plastic bags, plastic film, hoses, and wires are not recyclable. They can damage sorting equipment and create hazardous working conditions. Don't trash our future. Do the right thing. Remember, reduce, reuse, and recycle.
C&H Disposal Service has provided customers with the best customer service possible since 1981. C&H Disposal Service provides trash removal, dumpster rentals, septic cleaning, repair and installation, septic system certifications, portable restroom rentals, and demolition. With great customer service and competitive pricing, C&H Disposal Service has you covered at the home and on the job. C&H Disposal Service. Stick with the best.
Imagine living without pain. For over 35 years, Doctors Beebe and Doyle have helped thousands of people find relief from all types of pain. Millville Chiropractic Center has 4 doctors on staff specializing in hands-on or light-touch, drug-free pain relief methods. The examination, x-rays, therapies, and adjustments are all performed at one location. Schedule a consultation today. Enjoy life without pain and discomfort. Millville Chiropractic Center, the area's #1 pain relief center.
Thunderbolt Area Federal Credit Union is your hometown team for banking. We offer banking which is small town focused and customer based. We know you and we are for you. Thunderbolt Area Federal Credit Union is a nonprofit and federally insured. Solid as a Thunderbolt airplane, we are your team. Thunderbolt Area Federal Credit Union, 1601 Cedar Street.
Hi, I'm Bob Millard, President of Thunderbolt Area Federal Credit Union. Come see us and experience banking as it used to be.
Welcome back to Around South Jersey. Dr. Jim Beebe from the Millville Chiropractic Center is my guest. And I have to tell you, Doc, the many times I've been in, I've seen, one thing I learned from Dr. Fresh is I don't carry my wallet in my back pocket anymore. You know what's neat? My son gave me one of these, which is the phone, but it's got the credit cards, my license, and everything in the phone.
In the back.
So I, put that here or in my sport coat or something. So I don't sit on my wallet anymore, thanks to Dr. Fresh. but
That's a good tip.
The one thing that I really have to tell you, Jim, I don't know, I'm sure you are very instrumental in the hiring, but your staff is outstanding. What nice people.
Super staff.
Yeah.
And, the main thing is, I've said this, one of my favorite sayings, I can teach anybody anything, but I can't teach attitude. You got to bring your attitude.
Good point.
You got the right attitude, anything is possible. And every one of our staff members, we have a mission statement right in our reception area, and it's about helping people. And that's what their mission has to be. And they, every one of them, they knew they not only knew their job, but they're all cross-trained, and so they can help each other out. And and I guess that comes from a team, being a team sport guy myself. We're a team, and we just want to help as many people as we can. And I tell my staff, even the new ones, when we train them, I said, on my gravestone, I don't want he rusted out. I want to have to say he wore out. I want to give everything I can, and help as many people as I can. And they have that same attitude, so they're fantastic. And
really
we work at it.
Yeah.
If you don't work at it, you can't expect it. But
I got the impression from them that they realize it's because of how wonderful Dr. Beebe and Dr. Doyle and everybody is. They want to exemplify what you get when you see the chiropractor too, and they do. They're just very delightful people, and to your credit, you've done a great job hiring and training them to represent what you want as a Millville Chiropractic Center. Let's talk a little bit about your family, your lovely wife Bobby, and you have a son and a daughter. Right?
Son and a daughter, and my wife, we were classmaachmates. But
I remember after class reunion, did you go
at a class reunion? And
I remember that.
We knew of each other,
Uh-huh.
okay, but really weren't friendly, you would say, or close during the high school years. And I was not going to a reunion.
Oh,
This one reunion.
Okay.
And a good buddy of mine called me up and he said, "Well, you got to come." I said, "What do you mean I got to come?" He wasn't a classmate. And he said, "You got to come because I married one of your classmates and I won't know anybody."
Oh, I see. Okay.
And and I said, so he said, "I won't have nobody to talk to."
Yeah, good point.
And I said, okay. So when I get there, I found him, of course, and I knew basically everybody at the table and their spouses. And but the one person I didn't really know was Bobby Smith. And so he says, "Well, this is Bobby Smith." I said, "Oh, hi, how are you?" "Yeah, I remember you from high school and things."
Well, you were a superstar. Everybody knew you.
So the music starts, and of course, everybody on the table who were paired up, they're out there dancing. Yeah. And it's, we're talking 19, they played our era music, right, so 77, 78, and 79. And we're out there, so everybody's out. You didn't need a partner. You just went out in the gang.
Right.
Well, after a few of those, they played a slow song.
Ah, that got you together.
Huh? And then everybody, so it was Bobby and I just stand there looking at each other. I said, "What do you want to dance?" Or we go back to the table, I guess. So we danced, and that's how we started.
That's super.
Yeah.
What a wonderful story.
Yeah.
What a wonderful lady. I mean, that's what's
super
as well. I'm just
absolutely. And so we had 2 children together, and a boy and a girl. And as I said earlier, they went up to started at the Ellison School, but finished at Millville. And
that's great.
My son was a baseball player.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and so he liked, and actually, a name that everybody knows. Okay, in Little League, my son was 12, so he was the last year in Little League.
Right.
But they played 8 through 12 back then.
Right. Yes.
And the shortstop, an 8-year-old, was
Mike Trout.
Mike Trout. So I saw Mike Trout play when he was 8 years old, and people always ask me, well, what was he like then?
Yeah.
And I said, I never saw Mike Trout at 8 years old, and he played all infield back then.
Yeah, right.
And pitched.
Yeah.
I never saw him make a mental error. And an 8-year-old usually makes,
exactly.
do I throw it to second or do I throw it to first?
Exactly.
I never saw him make a mental. He was all mentally into baseball at that age, that young age. And of course, his physical talents were right there too. But never made a mental error. And then when they got to high school, because Mike played varsity at freshman level.
Yeah, exactly.
My son was a senior, so they played so I saw Mike play a lot, through those years, and so that was good. And then my daughter was a track and field, so she was a pole vaulter and a high jumper.
Wow!
Yeah,
that's good. Jeez. So,
I don't know, a lot of the viewers maybe remember Melissa Gale.
Oh, sure, I know. Yep.
Who was like her mentor. She was a couple years older than her, but I was watching the Summer Olympics, and my daughter came out of her bedroom, and she said, "What are you doing, Dad?" And I said, "I'm watching Summer Olympics," and it just so happened to be pole vaulting. Oh. And so she sat down on the floor in front of me, in front of the chair I was in, and was leaning back, and she was mesmerized.
Oh, that's cool.
And she went, "Wow, she was the first time I think she ever saw that." She was like in 7th or 8th grade. And she said, "I want to do that."
Wow, that is neat.
Well, at the time, I was treating not only Melissa, but her mom and dad.
Yeah.
And,
Danny.
And Danny was the coach.
Danny and Pat.
And I said to Danny, my daughter really thinks she wants to try this. And he goes, "Okay, we'll get it going." So she got the bug, and so she pole vaulted.
That is neat.
I think she has, still a tie for the county record.
That's fantastic.
At 10'6" pole vaulting. But and she'll tell you today that she says, "I wish I would have even learned it. You started earlier."
Yeah.
Yeah, and she pole vaulted in college.
Wow.
A little bit, and enjoyed that. And I called Danny up because she went to Wofford College in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And that's a little funny story too, because I'm a pretty straight kind of guy, and I'm organized. Yeah. So I told her, "You have to have your long college list to me by this date, and then we'll work on a short list." So she had the long list, and went down the long list, and of course computers were popular then, so it's a computerized list. So it starts with like Albright, it's all alphabetical.
Right.
I said, "Hey, I had a good classmate of mine and buddy of mine went to Albright," and then we're going down the list. Well, Wofford's the last one, right? And I get to Wofford, and I had a comment about most of them. Yeah, I said, "Never heard of it," and she goes, "That's the place for me." So of course, again, computer age, I Google it.
Yeah.
They called it. They called it the Harvard of the South.
Wow.
And the price tag was just as good.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my God.
In South Carolina. And but it really.
What did she major in?
She was a pre-med major.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And so a lot of science, and they really prepared her for med school. She's an osteopathic physician.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, she specializes in pediatrics.
Oh, that's good.
And she did her residency up at Cooper. That was her first choice.
Oh, it's
they have
nice.
she told me, she said, and I was surprised because she went 4 years in South Carolina,
Yeah.
and the med school was in North Carolina.
Okay,
And
moved up.
I kept telling my wife Bobby, I said, we're done. She's
Just gonna
the
stay
South
down
has
there,
bought her now.
Yeah.
And she said Cooper had one of the greatest
that's
residency
good.
programs in
That's
pediatrics, and she came and did her 3 years up there. And her first job was over at Christiana in
Yeah,
Delaware.
sure. Yeah.
And they had 3 hospitals, and she worked over there. And there's a company called, and you probably may be familiar with it, specializes nothing in but pediatrics. It's Nemours.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I've heard them advertise on the Phillies games. Yeah.
So Nemours had been negotiating with Inspira here in Vineland
Oh,
and
that's
Milligan
nice.
Hill to run their pediatric department.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And they kind of, a friend of hers who worked with Nemours put her name up, and they came and got her. They made her a great deal, and so she's back here.
Oh,
So she's
that's
working
wonderful.
80% probably in the Vineland Inspira.
Oh, that's
but she
great.
covers up in Mulligan Hill once in a
Oh,
while.
that's wonderful.
Got married.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So she changed jobs, got married, and bought a house all in like a 3-month period. And she's up in Upper Pittsgrove.
That's a nice area.
Yeah,
Very
right down the
nice
street from Centerton Country Club
area. Yeah,
driveway.
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
she's up
exactly.
there now.
So, how about your son? What's he
My
doing?
son went to a couple colleges. He graduated from West Virginia U.
That's my son got his master's from West
Did he?
Virginia University.
Oh yeah, I think you
Yeah,
told
yeah.
me that.
Uh-huh.
And he's like in between things right now. So
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. What a wonderful family. What a wonderful man. Tell you what, we could do 4 or 5 of these shows this hour. Honest to God, folks, fastest hour I've ever had interviewing anybody. Jim, thank you.
no problem, Jim. Thanks for asking me.
And let me tell you something before I forget. Thank you, Dr. Beebe and the Millville Chiropractic Center, because these shows, high school football, sporting events, kids' things for Millville, he's there. Yes, Jim. Yes, we'll support it. We'll support it. And Bob Connor is the other one, which is one of his classmates. So thank God for Millville Chiropractic Center and the William R. Mintz Agency. You wouldn't see half of the programs you see.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure can.
Thunderbolt Club. I'm on the board of Thunderbolt
that's right.
Club.
They-
Thunderbolt Club
yeah.
this Saturday is having a meet and greet for Tony Serace.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Tony was my offensive line coach, and then of course we all know he went on to become head coach.
Right.
And
Yeah.
a great career. And so that's going to be from 1 to 3 at the Thunderbolt Club here on 8th Street here in Millville. Anybody and everybody's invited if they just want to come in, pop in and say hi and how you're doing. And he deserves the honor. He's a great fella.
He's sure. I talk to him almost every night. I love
Yeah.
Tony Serace. And yeah, thank you, Jim, for pointing that
No
out
problem.
too, folks. Be sure to stop out and just say hello and
Just
give him
say
a
hello.
hug if you want.
Yeah,
Whatever.
absolutely.
He's a great guy. My guest has been Dr. Jim Beebe from the Millville Chiropractic Center. George Kachia produced the show today. Thank you for that. And we'll see you again real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
This has been a QBC television production, in association with our partners and sponsors. QBC broadcasts on Comcast Cable Channel 22, and live streams its programming on Facebook and YouTube. All rights reserved by Quinn Media and QBC. Programming that serves the South Jersey market.